Hey guys, thanks for tuning in to another video on ForgottenWeapons.com. I'm Ian McCollum, and I'm here today outside of Bogota, Colombia, taking a look at the very first pistol the very first model of pistol that was manufactured by Indumil. Now, Indumil is the primary state arms factory here in Colombia. They have a legal monopoly on arms production and arms sales. The factory was originally founded in 1908 as a repair facility for the Colombian military. In the early 1950s, it was significantly expanded, basically to do a lot of repair and reworking of Mauser rifles. And at about the same time, they decided to start making handguns. And what they specifically chose to do was a copy of the Smith & Wesson K-frame, the M&P, the Smith & Wesson Model 10. Now, what's kind of funny is they actually they licensed this pistol from Llama. Well, Llama had essentially just copied it from Smith & Wesson. So what we have here from Indumil in Colombia is a licensed copy of an unlicensed copy, which is a little bit humorous. In fact, they continued to keep Llama logos on the guns until only a few years ago when someone realized that, you know what, Llama's actually been out of business for several decades now, and we don't really need to keep putting their logo on our production pistols. So anyway, I digress. What we're looking at here is the Cassidy pattern, and that is a very standard Model 10 4-inch barrel, also available with a 5-inch barrel. And there are two other patterns that they also make that are mechanically identical, but have a few aesthetic differences. On the larger side, they have the Marshall pattern, and these are all names, like Colombia is, of course, a Spanish-speaking country. These are the names that they have, which sound like English names to us. But the Marshall is a version with a full sight rib and an underlug, full underlug, available in 4-inch and 5-inch. And the Cassidy is also, I believe, available in 3. And then the third model is the Scorpio, which is the compact, the detective special version. It's a round butt with a 2-inch barrel. So with that aside, let's go ahead and take a little bit of a closer look at this, and I'll show you some of the details. All right, so what we have here are two 4-inch Cassidys, basically the same pattern gun, except this one is very nicely blued, which means it picks up fingerprints when you look at it harshly. This one, hard chromed, which is something that Indumil actually doesn't offer anymore. So this is sort of the cool, rare pattern. If we take a look at the markings up close, we have Indumil, Colombia, model Cassidy. Caliber is .38 Special. Now, of course, because this is copied from Llama, Llama offered these in .38 and .357, just like Smith & Wesson did. And so the frame here is sized to accommodate .357. However, Colombia has only ever used the .38 Special. That was, I think, originally a military decision. These, of course, were manufactured for military and police use. They're still used today in some capacity by military and police, and also widely used by private security firms. The revolvers are actually less expensive than semi-automatic pistols. So at one point in Colombia's legal history, they actually codified .38 Special as an allowable cartridge. .357 is not, because it is too lethal and too deadly. So obviously there was no particularly good reason to change all the tooling on the guns to shrink them down, to reduce the frame size. So in addition to .38 Special, these are also available in .32 long. Not nearly as popular of a cartridge, but it is something that you can get that Indumil makes. Anyway, we have Indumil logos in the grips, walnut grip panels there. And then on the opposite side, we actually have a Llama trademark logo, and that originated when these were actually licensed from Llama, and then it just continued as a status quo default. That's how we do it, so we'll just continue to do it until sometime within just the last 10 years. They realized that, we actually don't need to do that. And so now new production ones have the Indumil logo, just like this, up on the side of the gun. Function is just like a Smith & Wesson Model 10. Cylinder latch pushes forward, cylinder slides out. You've got a star ejector. Really extremely standard, well-proven technology here. Oh, I should also point out, the serial number on the bottom of the grip, IM, is Industria Militar. That's Indumil. And then a 4-digit number and a letter prefix. So the letter prefixes basically go all the way from A to Z. I don't know the exact total production quantity on these, but it is pretty substantial. They've been making them for more than 50 years now. There is a safety element in the firing mechanism. Instead of the firing pin being mounted on the hammer as early Smith & Wessons were, the firing pin is set in the frame down in there. Now, normally, looking at something like this, we'd probably expect to see a transfer bar. There is no transfer bar here. Instead, the hammer itself actually is pulled down when you're pulling the trigger. So in this position, the face of the hammer here will strike the firing pin. If you're not pulling the trigger, the whole hammer lifts up, and this face is too high to hit the firing pin. So in theory, it can't fire just from a blow to the back of the hammer if you're not actually pulling the trigger. These may not be particularly exciting firearms, but it's cool to see guns that are actually the first product of what is becoming a more significant major military production arms factory. Indumil went from repairing and rebarreling Mausers to making this as their first actual complete production guns. Then they took on production, first repair, and then licensed full production of the Galil rifle, purchased from Israel. And then today we see them making a completely domestic designed pistol in the Cordova. So it's cool to see the progression and the expansion of the factory and its capabilities. So a big thanks to Javier from Traba Pistolas, very cool Spanish language firearms channel run down here in Colombia. Thanks to him, we have access to these two to take a look at. So if you're interested in more material about pistols from Latin and South America, definitely check his channel out. I've got a link to it in the description below. Thanks for watching.